Alrighty.
There's no real format.
We're here.
We start by this though. It's the
Alright.
one thing that we have that's a recurring theme.
Salute.
Salute. Welcome back to the Inner Working Podcast.
We'll be your host today, Ashmaz and J Cal, with a special guest,
Adrian Dzevuke, I'm right here. Let's go.
straight out of Perth.
Compton. You know the vibes. Perth, Western Australia.
Let's go. I'm liking the energy today already. Damn, let's make magic. So how have we been, guys?
Been good, man. Yeah, just been chilling. You guys?
Couldn't be better. It's just, ticking along.
Yeah.
Counting
This
the
guy's
books.
always in the studio every time.
He's always
like
working,
every day.
man. He's always working.
He's like, just chilling, but
he's
man's
a
just like,
workhorse. There's days where I'm like, when I feel lazy, I'm like, I bet J Cal's in the studio right now.
Nah. We have our days. We have
Right.
our days. Everyone has their
he does
day.
this thing where he like sits on the couch and then he just like records like the screen. And you're like, this is like his only downtime. He's like,
Facts, you got to.
That's it. How have you been, man? What's been going on?
good, man. Yeah, just working on some music, just working on a new project.
Congrats on the new single. Take your time.
Thank you.
Indeed.
Been bumping that
Thank
one
you,
pretty
man.
hard.
Thank you.
Adrian is a artist, musician, instrumentalist,
Producer. My definition of producer, people who do watch the podcast.
songwriter. For those that are unaware,
Yeah.
Wait, what's your definition?
Okay. Well, I've been rambling on about this, so my apologies, people who've watched all of the episodes. But I don't know. I think first of all, the thing I admire about you is you're a fantastic songwriter, which we'll delve deeper into later.
Oh, thank you, man.
But and I see that you have a lot of production credits on like Spotify because I'm always checking that out, and I think that's good because you're someone that can put something together. Like whether you've made the beat or not, you're the one who can get the stems and you can know, oh, this needs to be here, this doesn't need to be here, when, and that's I've been rambling on about that of like, if you make a beat.
Yeah.
Okay, you're a producer. I like to call that more of a beat maker, but you're someone that can actually make the song, get the product out of the song, and that's the traditional route of production, and that's what I see as a producer, and I think that's very, very cool.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, actually delving into that, tell us a little bit about your process with songwriting and
actually,
creation.
let's start at the beginning.
Yeah.
Where did your love of music begin?
Dude, like I don't know. My dad's always been like super into music. Like back in Zim, because I'm from Zimbabwe. And when
Shout out.
shout out
Let's
Zimbabwe
go.
motherland. Yeah, like he's like a super gospel fan. So used to bump a lot of Kirk Franklin, a lot of Charles Strumba,
Yeah.
a lot. The vibes. Like yeah. So he was big into music, around out the music, and like I've always kind of been around it, and it's been something that was like ingrained in me, but I never thought that it was something I wanted to do until I was like, maybe when I moved to Australia when I was like 12, and then he got me like my first keyboard. He was like, oh yeah, I was, I don't even know my club,
I know
yeah,
Mac.
yeah,
Shout
of
out
course,
to
Mac,
Mac,
shout out to Mac, because our parents were friends, and one day they just came back from work like, oh, we got you, they got us like both keyboards. And then yeah, we just started messing around, started playing in church, like started playing drums, and just kind of went from there. And I was like, I want to make my own stuff. Just went on YouTube, looked up how to play keys, chords, and my dad would teach me here and there, because my dad he didn't have any like proper like formal training.
Yeah.
Obviously like coming from a Zim where it's something like that is not seen as like a proper,
It's not pushed.
it's not a thing. He like taught himself, so I kind of did the same, and he taught me a couple things, and yeah, like from there on I was introduced to Mixcraft. I don't know, do you know Mixcraft?
No, I don't
Yeah,
actually.
Mixcraft is like this old like software, man. Like my club used to play on it all the time. Like you put loops together and then you make a beat, but like you actually didn't make it, you just put loops together. And so what I would,
that's how I started as well,
Yeah.
on Logic. But yeah, it's always the loops and putting them together.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way to start. But yeah, is
so-
it like a free software?
yeah, it was free. It was like, or if you had to upgrade, like it expired after a certain while, and I just like delete it and get it again.
Different
You
email
know the
address,
vibes.
different 30 days.
Yeah, legit, dude. Like
It's the hustle, yeah.
Yeah, so I did that, and then yeah, so I started playing around with that, and then was introduced to FL Studio, and then that's when I started producing. So yeah, I guess it just all happened. I just found that I just really loved it, especially in like the church setting when I used to get to play with the band, and that's like where I'm from, like. So when people are like,
Musician first.
yeah. So when people are like, oh, dude, it's crazy because you're like, this hip hop artist and you play with the band, and like to me, I'm like, dude, I've always like, that's just my upbringing. Like I've always played in a band. I've always like in church. I've always kind of, at one point, I was like the church choir director. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. So it's like that's where I'm from musically. So it just all developed over time, and now we're here, I guess. I don't know if that answered that question. I just rambled on for a minute.
No, that's perfect. That's the format. Now, in terms of your, I guess, musical growth, tell us a bit of like how you found your sound, how you define your sound, and what type of, I guess, space you feel you as an artist operate in.
Yeah, that's a good question, man. Because I feel like when I started, because all I knew was obviously R&B music that I would hear on TV and stuff like that. And that's something that, and gospel, like 100% gospel. So fun fact, a lot of people don't know this, but I actually released an EP before, like my project.
Exclusive.
my project, my debut project was called, I'm not going to say the name because people are going to go and look for it and it's, I'm not going to say the name, but it was 7 tracks. It was an EP recorded by Charlie Young from Crank Studios. Rest in peace, Charlie. And it was a gospel. It was a gospel EP. So that's the exclusive there. I pretty much, I was from that background, like a gospel kind of Christian vibes, and I thought that was what I had to do. I guess this is a bit personal, but like, being from that environment, you feel like if you make music if you have that gift, but you make music that's like quote unquote Christian in that space, you feel like you're letting, the community down, and they think you're, and it's all like internal as well, but also very much external. So I had to pretty much fight that, and then I put that away. One of my songs was up to like 50K plays on Spotify. Back then, that was like, you know what I mean? Like in a gospel, like a gospel song, I was literally, there was this gospel blog, one of the biggest in the world. It's called Rapzilla. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you know Rapzilla, but they used to post my stuff all the time. That was like the pitchfork of like gospel, like music, you know what I mean? And so that was like in 2015, 2016.
I know, because we've been friends on Facebook for a long time.
Yeah. Dude, I messaged this guy ages ago. I was like, yo, what's up? Because I think you're working with your girl phone.
Yeah, we had like, me and Phoebe had a duo for a while, and that was like when I was doing Ziggy, like doing stuff with Ziggy and all that. But I remember us being friends on Facebook for a long time. And I've known Michael K was the first ever person that's been to this studio before it looked anything like this. Yeah. So I think that was also the connection there. True. But I knew about all that. It's been crazy to actually watch your progression, just as someone who's, become, like I was saying before, like an amazing songwriter and someone who's really pushing the boundaries here. And it's a shame because you sometimes get pushed into this lane of like hip hop, and it's definitely not that. I think that's almost a little bit disrespectful to you because, you are doing something that's well beyond that, to the fact that you're almost making really, really, in my eyes, extremely tasteful pop music. And it's really.
How would you define your music? Yourself? What do you think?
Myself? Yeah. First of all, I want to say, like, when I did that whole article thing about, when I had the conversation with them about the whole hip hop being.
For those that might not know, Adrian won the WAM award for hip hop artist of the year.
Best hip hop artist.
Best hip hop,
or something like that. So I did the article, and I pretty much, it's something that I've talked to a lot of people about before, but I never publicly spoke about it. So I was like, I really want to say something about this because I feel like I'm in a position where I can do this, because a lot of other people who look like me who are doing the same thing, they're constantly being, anyway, so
pigeonholed.
So first of all, I want to say, like, I love hip hop music. Like, I'm very influenced by it, and like there's literally elements of like my songwriting that is hip hop, or like my flow in some songs, or like whatever. So when I say that, it's not like, I don't want people to be like, oh, Adrian doesn't think hip hop is like, because
no, I don't. I don't think that's the case. I think it's good that you did what you did, and I think a lot of people in the like in this community of music that we have now feeling
Supported.
feel the same way.
Yeah.
So I don't think you like, as some entities, and we spoke about this last week, some entities might not be recognizing certain things, but I do think like the wider community and this sort of new wave of what's coming up is recognizing it. But it's good that you're doing things like that, because it's important that everybody recognizes that. Because this stuff is, as as small as some people might think it is, it's important. So.
But I would say I have a very like R&B, like I guess upbringing, but I would say in today's world, I would say I make pop music. Like you said, I would say, like, I'll go back and, like I said before, when you listen to songs like Darling, like Bad Like Riri, even Take Your Time, it's all like a pop. It's all pop structures. You have like a verse, you have a pre-chorus, you have a chorus, and it's not to say I'm making pop, because when people think about pop music, they're like, oh, pop music, it doesn't mean anything. It's like, that's like the perception of pop music.
Pop is short for popular music.
Yeah.
For people that don't know. So that could be R&B, it could be
That's why before
it's also structuring of the song as well. That's
why before, when I said I put the word tasteful before pop, because that's also important. Your songs aren't cheesy, and I think regardless of whether you're this or that, I mean, you're making good fucking music, dude. So like at the end of the day, that's important. And you're someone, and this is something we've talked about before, is like you understand like I don't like using the words rules. The conventions is the word we use of music, and then you're exploring those and then putting your own taste on that. And that to me is like, how you become a good artist, how you make good art. And I think you're doing that as good as anyone here, which is amazing.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much. That means a lot to me, because there's something I really take pride in, because like I said, a lot of people just see you in a certain way and they just think you are that and that's what you do. But like they don't understand the hours that you be in the studio, literally restructuring a whole song because you don't think the second verse is good enough, or like the pre-chorus is good enough, because you don't think that people, like when it's listened to, it doesn't grab you enough. It's like those to me, like I love doing that. I love challenging myself. I love writing a pre-chorus and listening back to it like tomorrow and being like, this doesn't grab me, I'm gonna scratch it.
Writing a chorus and then
actually
that's a pre-chorus.
Yeah, exactly. and
all the time.
I love that process. And I will literally spend so long, especially for this EP, like me and Connor spend so long just going back and forth. Even like if something is not grabbing us the same way that it did initially, then we just scratch it. We don't care how long it's gonna take us. We've scratched so many songs. Like that's just for me. Like I want to put something that I'm 100%
quality control.
Quality control, another big theme on this show.
Another big thing we always talk about.
That leads me now to your process, because obviously before, like with like Darling, which is one of my favorite songs, like that was a beat from someone that wasn't like you weren't working with face to face with. So obviously I'd assume you get the stems of that and then you arrange. So now how's that changed? Now you're working with Lawson. Is it sort of, I guess, similar, but you've got someone right next to you, you're writing together, like? Yeah.
So with this, it's so much more hands-on, because I'm right, right there. I find it so much better for myself, because what I usually do, I guess most of the songs, like Take Your Time, or like, I guess that's the only song that's come out that we've worked on together so far. So I'll use that as an example. Like I'll be at home and I'll kind of write the chords, or I'll be like jamming on my piano, and I'll record that. Go to Connor, take it to the studio. Most of the time I already have a melody. I already have a chorus. I might just have like a na, 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 or whatever. Yeah, like I don't know what I'm gonna say yet. And like because I feel like the thing with me as a songwriter is the melodies like are so much more impactful and like powerful to me than like if I've said the most profound thing of like the most abstract lyrics. I'm just like,
that's the pop convention.
Like does this make me feel good? Does this melody make me feel a certain way? If I'm trying to be sad on this song, does that melody give that undertone of like sadness? You know what I mean? Like that's what I think about. So yeah, and I take it to him. I'm literally in the like all the songs. There's never been a song that I've just been sitting at home and he's done it himself kind of thing. Not saying that like in a bad way, but it's just like
no, it's a collaboration.
Yeah, like I'm always in the studio and we're literally picking out everything together, and I'll pick out a snare and he might be like, I feel like the snare doesn't do this for this, and then he might pick a different snare, or he might say, try a different melody here, and I might be like, yeah, cool, or I might be like, nah, I like this, and it's like back and forth like that.
Yeah, he's helping facilitate the vision, which again is
exactly
what production is. In so he's being a producer, which is great. Shout out Connor.
Yeah, shout out Connor. It's been amazing, like working with him, and he's also like a hard worker. So he gets when I'm like, I don't like this, and I want to change it, and he's like, okay, let's scratch it, let's start again. Like,
no, you need to have someone, you can be really honest with, and like the musical space always has to be a space of like no ego.
Yeah,
it really has to be like and another thing I crap on about on this show about is like, having the song is like, that's what you're serving, nothing else. If you find yourself, and you have to, really work on being honest with yourself on what, okay, I'm making this, if someone says like, I don't like this, if you disagree
it's not
with
personal.
No, yeah, exactly.
It's just like, this is not the best thing for the song,
But if you find yourself disagreeing with that, you have to be like, am I disagreeing with that because I genuinely think, like this should be the way, or am I disagreeing with it because my ego is shot?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And for me, like, I don't think I'm the most talented producer or the most, best. I can barely freaking, play any keys instruments or anything like that. But the one thing I have confidence is my
People will
ability
be so modest, eh?
Huh?
It's just like
no. Honestly, no. People always say that. It's not really.
You're killing it.
Honestly, no. But it's not about being modest and stuff. It's just like, your ability to. But no, that's what I mean. Like, the one thing I do have confidence in is like, judging things objectively.
Yeah.
Looking at this piece and being like, what does this actually need?
Yeah.
We could add like a crash. We could add like a note.
But does it need it?
But does it need it? You know what I mean? And once you can grasp that, like, that is the most important thing.
100%.
All the ability stuff can come later, but you guys obviously do that very well because you can hear it in the music. That stuff shows.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. I think it's like I said, it's the whole. It's the ego thing, if you take it too personally, there's sometimes I'm like super hooked on a really cool melody and like a really cool like chord progression, and then and I literally been like humming it for like a whole week.
And you're married to that.
Yeah,
shit.
I'm married to it, and I get to the studio and then Connor's like, he's found a way to now say it in a way that like I'm like, okay, he's like, yeah, that's cool, let's try doing it like this, and then in my head I'm like, nah, this melody was fire or whatever, and then because in my head I'm like, you know what, at the end of the day, this is not about, it's about what's best for the song. And like, I tried something different, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but like that trying a different idea when you already have one is what like separates like the.
Do you guys like low key? Because I have this with like I have this with Ches from OT all the time. We like low key argue. It's like not argue, but you have that thing, but you both have respect for each other.
Yeah.
So it's like you're like, oh no, that's not gonna work, and then you do it, and you're like, oh.
Yeah. And then when it works, you wanna be like, yeah.
But it's that ability to be like, oh yeah, that's what sets you apart.
Yeah.
That's literally the difference between something that's good and something that's trash.
Yeah. I think it's dude, just being as an artist, finding someone that you can work with and someone that is about your vision and that wants to facilitate it and not want to make it about them being a producer is like, that's the best kind of producer. You know what I mean? That's like the best. All the people that have, the Michael Jacksons or whatever, they have
the Quincy.
That is a producer.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they have that person that will make sure their dream, their song, which is the song, comes to life, regardless whether their ideas are not, being put forward, or they think their ideas are like, they're not working out and the other person's ideas are working out. They don't care as long as the song's good. And that's...
And with arrangement, because I'm like, that's really important. Like, it's almost the most important thing. Obviously the parts need to be good, but then after that,
100%.
The parts need to be in the right places.
Yeah.
With Connor, is that something that you collaborate on, or is it a mix and mash? Like, do you sometimes have like, nah, I know how the arrangement's gonna go, or?
Yeah, it's very because with the arrangements as well, it's something that I'm like so used to, that I've been doing myself for like so long. Like, I guess like with songs like Bad Like Riri or whatever, like I'll spend ages just trying to make sure that everything's in the right place. So when I go to the studio, usually I have an idea of exactly what I want the song to be. Or sometimes, I guess for Take Your Time, I've made like a demo before I even went in. And like there's songs like Heartbreaker that's not out yet or whatever. I already had like certain ideas and certain, like structures in my head. And then when we go into the studio now, we we've actually gone to the point where we do a whole demo of a song, like finish it off, everything exactly how I would record it, but just not like fully like flesh it out, and we see if it works. So I go in with whatever I have in my head, and if it doesn't work out, kind of like, I don't think we should try it, and I would realize it as well because I'm hearing it back. I'm like, yeah, cool. And then we either scratch it or we do the demo and make sure that it's good and listen back and see what the next go is. But yeah, I usually I know what I want in my head. Usually most of the time, yeah.
So what is your approach to writing a song or to creating a song? Like, just for context, are you thinking it from your perspective? Are you thinking from the consumer's perspective? Are you thinking from the radio? What's your approach? Like, is it a feeling? Like, and then how do you then develop it? Multi-tiered question.
Yeah, no, I like that question. Take your time.
Yeah. You like that one?
Let's go. Yeah, so I think the process for me is trying to see which one to
deep
attack
questions
first. I think first of all, it's about an idea, right? It's about, most of the time I have a melody in my head. I come up with, it's mainly the chorus, first of all. So like I have a melody in my head that I know for sure this is the chorus. Like for Take Your Time, for instance, like it was the shoot that dun, 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 in my head, and I was like, that's it. And now I'm gonna develop a song around this chorus. Or like Bad Like Riri, I literally had in my head for like a whole week.
Sorry to butt in quickly.
Yeah.
Is that, where does that come? Does that stem from, like, because for me, I know personally, I can't start singing out melodies unless there's like some sort of chord progression or something that's based off that. Or are you just like literally in the car?
That's
and
a good
like
question.
with no music, nothing, just being like da 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 da. Like,
it's different every time.
Okay.
For Take Your Time, it was just a random melody that I don't know like where it came from, and happened. With Bad Like Riri, it was like the chords that I was playing around with when I was producing, and then that came about. Or like, it's different every time, but yeah, just whatever the vibes did on that day. But I guess, yeah, to answer you, to continue on that one, so it's usually the idea first, and then I pretty much deciding, because you have a lot of melodies in your head. Or for me, like I said, melodies are like something that I really value, and I record everything. Thank you, man. And I record everything, and I have it in my voice notes, and some make it, some don't, just depending on how strong I think they are, or like how.
So it's more of like, if inspiration hits, and you're there, you're like, I'm not in the studio, voice notes, boom, bop, boom, save it later.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to answer the second part of your question, it's like the melody that then survives all these hundreds of melodies during the week. Yeah. During the week, it's like the thing that's still in my head. I'm like, that works. That's, I don't even think about it.
It's a feeling.
Yeah, like I just know. I'm like,
gravitate towards this.
So in my head, it's in the past couple of, I think, probably a year, I've come to learn that I think it's something that I've always had in my songwriting. Like even I was in my Dropbox file, and I found some really old stuff that I made ages ago. And I always had like a structure and like really like because chorus, I love like a good chorus. Like I love like so they've always had like stuff like that. But now it's finding a balance between how can I, because the whole concept of pop music, right, is it's popular because it's accessible and it's easy and it's digestible, right? So there's like the way of going all the way where it's like this song is literally just a song because it's catchy, and then there's like,
what's the substance, what's the inspiration, what's the meaning?
Exactly. And then there's like the other extreme, which is like, this is such an abstract song, like it's hard to listen to, I don't know how to digest it. And it's like finding the middle ground. And I feel like in the last year, it's been me finding what's gonna like make sense to the consumer and what's gonna make sense for me artistically to play around with certain sounds and like certain ideas without I guess quote unquote selling out, which I don't believe there's such a thing called selling out. It's just people just hate it when something's so big. And so usually when something becomes so big, it becomes like really like if you hear something a lot, you start taking it for granted, and then you're like, that's such a cheesy pop song because you've heard it so much and like
shoved down your throat.
Yeah, and then now you hate it because of that reason. So I don't really believe in that. But finding the middle ground for me is always something that I want to do. I want to listen to that song like a year later and be like, I really like this song. Like I really think this was me, and like I really think that this it resembles my influence and like me as an artist, I think.
And with that in mind, are you aware of who your target audience is when you're writing or creating music, or do you kind of create first and allow the audience to dictate what to do with it?
Yeah, so I've
because there's a follow-up question coming afterwards.
Yeah,
so
okay,
I got you. Thing, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a really, man, you guys are really going in. Yeah, that's really good.
Welcome to the inner workings, bro.
Ash is the best interviewer in this industry, honestly.
No, I like that though, because it makes you think. So yeah, like, what was your question?
Who's your target audience?
Well, I'm my target audience.
And if not, do you just create and allow?
Yeah. Are you thinking about that? I'd say you're not, because if it was, then the music would feel less organic than it is. But that's my external view on that.
Yeah,
but
I'm not thinking of like who is going to, like the target. I'm not like, this is for the kids, or like this is for, you know what I mean? Or like this is for like the moms, or like it's funny because I say that now, but I think when Connor is gonna watch this, he's gonna laugh because there's literally a song where I was literally like, bro, the kids are gonna love this, and I keep like joking about this, but it's not.
That's after the
I didn't make it because of that reason. I just made it, and then after I was like, yeah, this is for the kids. You know what I mean? But I make it first, and then pretty much let it. You know, I just make sure that it's digestible enough for anyone to be able to listen to it, and sometimes that just lands in a certain category. And I feel like the music that I was making, this is just how I feel. So I feel like Darling and like Bella Riri and stuff like that, they're very like, I think like an older audience as such, because I don't know, like I feel like Afrobeat stuff is very like sexual and very like jiggy saucy, and like saucy, you know what I mean? And like, which is like super cool. But I think the stuff that I've been making recently, like Take Your Time and all that, they're a bit like more like younger, or like it still has like a very like organic feel, but it's, I think like a young like just teenagers who just like it, or like, but I don't think about that stuff. It's some things that I think about later. So yeah.
Because why I say this is because as a listener on the outside looking in, I feel like you're a helpless romantic because all your songs are about women. And I'm a certified lover boy myself. So when I hear your music, I'm always
certified lover boy.
So like when I hear your music, I can relate to it, you know, whether or not the girl's name is Riri or not, it's always a different girl. Or whether Darling, you know, I like your confidence. You know what I mean?
You're like making me see my own.
I don't know if you're aware of it though. You're not.
Now that you say that, I'm like,
because those are the things I pick up on. Yeah. I'm like, who hurt you, bro? Who's not replying to your DMs?
Yo, I don't know, man. I think it's just an R&B
because you probably don't understand or
are
aware of it because you don't look at your music from that perspective. But if your song comes up in one of my playlists or I'm playing it, I'm like, this reminds me of this shorty or this girl or this. And I'm like, but it's tasteful. It's not like you're whining or crying. It's more so like, you're giving love and you're appreciating. You're like, oh, you know what I mean? It's like, you're just that's what I like about it, because I feel like that's who I think your audience is, personally, as a consumer, because I'm a part of that.
You know what's funny? Like that you say that. I was looking at photos from like I think it was the Darling launch, and then
all honeys.
They're just it's like girls at the front and like a lot of, and I didn't think about it. And then my friend was like, dude, there's so many girls at your shows. And I was like, I was like, oh really? And then I was like, oh cool. And I think I was talking to Aaron, and then literally, I was looking at this photo, and Aaron's like quite tall, so he's like the only guy at the front, and there's like all these girls around him.
Aaron
kind of
Tan?
thing. Yeah.
Shout out Aaron.
Shout out Aaron Tan. Yeah, but I don't think about that. I think it's just like an R&B thing to be like, so shady.
You can't really think about it.
Yeah,
like, it's not that. That's not how.
And it feels organic. It feels real.
Oh, that's good. That's
it's
good,
not like
yeah.
it's forced. That's why I like it. Like I like the word tasteful when you open
Tasteful
it up.
pop, man.
It's very
yeah, it
tasteful.
has to be like. And the only thing that I feel like pop when it's not tasteful is when people are like trying so hard for it to be like, oh, this has to be like popular. You know what I mean? Whereas like, you know, you're just like, okay, cool. You obviously listen to pop music. Like you obviously listen to like, I do too. I love it. Like I listen to Justin Bieber and I listen to all these things. You know what I mean? Like, you know,
I don't know about the new album, but you know, that's
yeah.
it's a different
But
story.
you know, like that's the thing. You take these influences and then you just, you know, you take these conventions, you study these things, and then you're like, cool, I'm gonna do my own thing on it. And it's hard. It's really hard to do. Like people think like, oh, pop music's so simple. Like, you know, but it's really hard to make a really simply good pop song. It's really fucking hard.
And like, it's easy to sound like someone else, and
correct,
I feel like you don't sound like anyone else.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, man.
While doing it,
but yeah, it's really evident that you've like, you've listened to a lot, and then you've just, you know, you've studied it, and then now you're just like implementing it into your own music, you know, and that only comes from putting in like crazy amount of reps. Like you were speaking earlier, I can't remember if it was off or on camera, about like, you know, the amount of stuff that you've, you know, amount of demos and stuff that they've never seen the light of day. That's the fuel. That's part of the assembly line. Like it's, you know, doing all these things and it's going through the motion. You know what I mean? You don't, you know, you may get lucky and just be in the first, you know, few songs that you write, and you might do a good one, but like to have consistency,
you gotta make bad songs. You gotta like,
you gotta make bad songs.
Get them out. Like you have to get them out. Like the stuff.
It's a point of reference, then you know, like it's like, oh, that was bad. You know?
Yeah, legit, and it's okay. Like it's not. And I always find it very interesting how, I mean, I guess when you're younger, you make a song and you're very like so excited to put it out, and you're like, you know what I mean? Because you're like, oh, this is a song I can't wait. This is the one. But like, I feel like it makes sense, you know, like why back in the day labels would find someone and then they would just be like developing them for like 5 years or something like that, you know.
Back in the day, it still happens.
Yeah.
Now,
oh yeah. Now it still happens.
It still happens.
I was reading something about Dua Lipa.
Disguised better.
Dude, apparently Dua Lipa been grinding for like 5+ years.
Her's been writing everyone's songs.
Dude. Yeah,
she's
like,
been in the system.
Like people like Frank Ocean only started like blowing up with their own stuff when they had
the demo got leaked.
Yeah,
thinking back, you got leaked.
Yeah,
and
bro,
was like, who the hell is this?
Supposed to be for him. Like, and then it dropped, and then now you can think, wow, thinking about you, someone else think about you. What the hell? You can't.
That's the other thing.
But
that's people forget. You know, especially with pop stuff, like the artistic at the end of the day, it's still a product. So like. There may be this kind of happens in this country as well through lots of different avenues, like even like, you know, Triple J on Earth and stuff like that, where, you know, and this isn't me putting shit on it, by the way. This is just what happens, right? Like there'll be an artist that a label has been like with for, you know, had demos with for about 2 or 3 years and has been developing, and then they fabricate's a hectic word, so maybe not that, but they develop this story of like, you know, this person was busking and you know, and like, yeah. But like, it's not even.
He's talking about something.
It's not even. But I'm not even shitting on it. Like, it's not even. This is the things. These are things that happen. Like, this is part of it. So it's all about the grind. And you know, the general public, you know, they want this story, and that's all part of it. But that's what I mean. Like, for people that are making music, starting to get making music, don't get discouraged, because a lot of this like lifestyle and stuff, it's not necessarily glamorous. You know,
you don't wake up and people start booking you. Like, no, like that doesn't happen. You literally have to grind for so long.
Yeah.
And and this is like, it's funny because we're talking about this on such a small level, which is just like, I'll see myself as like an upcoming artist from Perth, which is like, to the world, that's like nothing. You know what I mean? That's like, whatever, like no one cares kind of vibe. Just imagine the huge artists, like, you know, like I was saying, Dua Lipa. Like, just imagine how much work they've had to go into
to get to that point,
to get to where they've been. It's actually insane. I feel as if now, I guess it's because you have the internet and you have all these things now, it's it's easier to put your stuff out there and find your own audience and find your own market. But back in the day, there was like specific sound that you had to do.
You had to have talent first.
Yeah.
And then they'll be like, we can develop this.
Exactly. And it's like, sometimes you didn't. The people just wrote the songs for you and you just, but that's a different
yeah,
topic,
it's different now. You got to do a lot of stuff on you gotta start building a lot of stuff on your own.
Yeah.
And get it all done. Even just not even on like the artistic side, but even on the business front and
Yeah,
stuff like that. And it's like it seems like we talk again. Another thing we talk a lot about is about teams, and it seems like adding Connor and you've got Carl as your manager and stuff like that. All of these things are really important in building this sort of network of people.
Man.
And especially, again, like we were talking about last week in Perth, there's no help here. There's no A&Rs that live in Perth, bro. No one's here. Like, you got to kind of figure it out.
Dude, I follow so many, like, upcoming artists in Sydney and Melbourne.
And they're just plugged in.
Yeah, and they just, legit, like,
from nowhere.
In the stories, they'll just be like, just a Sony Music Australia with, like, they tag someone because I'm like that guy that goes and checks like who's this person, like yeah, and then I go check like some A&R from like Sony, some A&R from Warner Music, some Universal, like because they say that stuff in their bios, and I'm like, dude, you got like 1,000 followers. How are you in the studio with these people? Like how even in Perth you just don't have that at all.
I want to rewind this real quick because like I need to get this off my chest. Artists that make 3 songs and then put out a song and think their song is hot, please, that needs to stop. Please put in the reps. Because what I feel like recently, I feel like there's been an explosion of artists in Perth, not to name names or anything like that, just in general. But I feel like as much as it's good for the community, also like earn your stripes, get your reps in. Don't make one song and think you can put it out and think you're an artist. Like, do work on your craft and don't discredit those that are putting the time and effort in, because if you might have like a bigger following and whatnot, and people might think, okay, this is what Perth hip hop is represented by, or Perth community music wise is represented by. Put in the work, plain and simple. Put in the reps, and like I don't know about most people, but I feel like the first time you do something and the 100th time you do something, the 100th time is going to be way better than the first time. So do take your time, do develop yourself, and don't be in a rush. It's not a competition, or there's a competition, but don't be in a rush to feel pressure to really gun it out.
Yeah, focus on the craft. I think, a lot of that stuff gets distorted with social media, and it also gets distorted with this sort of false sense of like, you see people who look like they're doing well in this industry and they're on social media, but really in the reality, like, the numbers on the music, the actual product which they're trying to promote is not doing well. But they may get 1 million of this and 1 million of that or whatever, but it's nothing to do with the actual music. Don't get caught up in that stuff. That's the one thing, that I'll have feelings about, because, that's what a lot of young people will look at and think that that's the way. But nah, we're all here to tell you this. Like, the craft comes first. The social media is the tool to promote, but if that becomes the main focus, it's all backwards.
And one thing that I've learned on that topic is people follow you for a specific thing. So let's say you're blowing up on, I don't know, like let's say TikTok, for instance, or which is like the thing right now. So you have X amount of followers or whatever. It's cool and all, and it's like, that's great. But people follow you for that reason. You know what I mean? Like, people follow you for that reason, and like people, most of the time they don't care about your music. Most of the time they don't really, because then you go and then check the numbers and it doesn't add up, and it's like, and that's not and no, that's not me like saying like don't do like TikTok stuff, because I'm trying to do the TikTok thing. I'm trying to get some followers on TikTok. I'm trying to build my brand
with an actually good product.
Yeah, I'm trying
to promote a product and not actually just like. Yeah.
You're not trying to game the system.
Yeah, because if you blow up on TikTok for other reasons and then you try like push your music to them, they're gonna be like, I'm just here because you're funny, or you look good, or you have this, or you're rich, or you know what I mean? Because that's literally the thing. It happens all the time with artists that start making music when they've been huge on YouTube for covers, and they always try to like change and start now making their own original music, and that never goes well.
It can work, but again, circling back,
Yeah.
comes back to reps. If you
Yeah,
try to do
exactly.
that too early,
Exactly.
it's not going to work.
Yeah. So if you're like
Yeah.
super good at doing covers and like you have an amazing voice, but you can't write your own music, you haven't like put in the raps to
Yeah.
write your own music that's like good and that actually grabs people,
Yeah.
then it's not gonna work. And that's most of the time it doesn't. Like I've seen things. I've seen people that I've thought they're gonna blow up.
It's
if
like
they do their
giving
own
someone
music,
like a
you know?
gourmet restaurant meal and then taking that away and be like, oh, here's
Yeah.
McDonald's. It's like, well, no, like you need to get to that level
Yeah, you
before you,
gotta-
start pushing me another
Yeah.
thing, you know?
Because like covers really work because those are songs that people already know. And
Of course.
and just for a disclaimer, like I'm not saying don't do that stuff. That stuff is great for engagement and like I'm not really like, you know, to be honest, you don't even have to listen to me because I'm just like in this. I'm really just, bro, like legit. This is just like me just saying things that I think will help.
We
and
do a lot of that in here. It's all good.
yeah, and like I don't even know if I'm saying the right things, but you don't have to listen to me. But this is just the whole point
Yeah,
of this
but it's backed
podcast
off
is just
experience, like I said.
opinions, you know. So I just think like work on your music. Like at the end of the day, the music is the best thing. It doesn't matter how many TikToks you have or how many, I don't know, like
The main thing is the music.
Yeah, like
that's the product.
like Kyle's always telling me like 100% always the music. Because like sometimes I'm like, because as an artist, I get caught up in that whole, I should do more on TikTok. I should start doing more on this. I should start doing more on this. And then it's like, yeah, cool. That's really, because he's always trying to push me to do more stuff on that. But at the end of the day, when I start getting carried away, it's like, no, like at the end of the day, like music is what brings the people and like that's your product. If your product is being funny, then like definitely TikTok and like stuff like that, people will follow you for that reason. But music, you have to convert them and then they have to come to your Spotify. So you got to focus on that. So when they come there, they now click that follow button. They're like, shit, this shit is fire. You know, if they can't do that, then
Facts.
you're going to constantly want to, you know, like reconvert all these
Get
people
that hit,
that are
yeah.
not. Yeah, it's, I don't know. I don't know if I'm just mumbling and
No,
like
I
saying
think
all
the
this
common,
stuff.
the
But
common
facts.
theme is
The
focus
dynamic
on the
is
music.
same.
yeah, the music, like, and be passionate about the music.
Speaking of the music,
Yeah.
what do we have in the works?
Can we
I
say?
know you mentioned
Cal's
something
looking at this
offline,
right now going, oh.
but like this probably won't come out for a few weeks, so
Yeah.
maybe even longer. But yeah, what are you working on?
Nah, like I'm working on my first. I guess I can't say my first anymore because I already told you about the gospel album that came out.
Rebranding? No. You're rebranding. This is your first EP as your
Yeah,
new,
nah, this is
as your
definitely
new self, yeah.
Cut that out. No, this is the EP coming out, so that's like my debut project, like my actual.
How many
So,
records?
I think either 6 or 7. I'm still trying to juggle and
Still trying to
sing.
figure it out, yeah.
Which yeah, just a small taste of what I've been cooking up before we start putting out the other stuff as well. There's just stuff in the works, man.
And contextualize. Wait, is it coming out anytime soon?
This somewhere later this year, yes.
Later this
So
year.
it's gonna be a
Okay,
whole.
give us, I guess, contextualize the EP for us without giving too much away,
Okay.
because we don't know when this is going to come out, so we don't want to give them too much.
Yeah, of course.
But in hindsight, if it is out and they go back and listen to this will add to the, you know what I
Yeah,
mean, to the
yeah.
cementing
I
of.
feel that. This project is pretty much like, it's like emotions you go through when you. Okay, how do I say this? I think when last year, 2020,
Yep.
around like
Lockout season.
COVID times, there was a lot of demos that I did that I really liked, and some of them I didn't finish. Some of them I already had ideas, and like had the concept and everything, but I never really finished. And then I went through this kind of time of just going through the motions with certain, like either it'd be like relationships or either it'd be something you're feeling like internally, like we all like battle with like inner demons sometimes and like stuff like that. And I don't want to make it dark because it's not. It's probably only like one song about that's in there because it's not really that deep. But it's just like from start to finish of a certain, I guess, time frame. Yeah, that's perfect. A time frame.
So just whatever emotions you're going through at the time.
Yeah, it's literally, this EP is literally like a time frame of certain chapter in my life. and and it's a whole bunch of like sounds that no one's really heard from me before. And I also feel like it's very true to myself because I've been.
It's a journey through sound and yourself.
During that time sound to myself. Man, this guy's so good. This guy, someone give this guy a raise. Hey, Rich.
If anyone wants their EPKs written up, holla at me.
I'll have to get you back on this after it gets released, and we'll maybe do an in-depth dive
and do like
I
like that.
Cool. But yeah, it's pretty much that. Me like trying out different sounds, and the funny thing is like I wouldn't even say trying out. It's just there's ideas that I've always had, but I feel like this time I had the resources to make them happen. So by saying
That's huge.
So by saying that it's I guess like my relationships with you, saying your team is very important. You know, having Kyle, having Connor as like those like the people that I talk to every day about music and things like that.
Lifestyle.
Yeah,
your lifestyle was coinciding with the vision and
it wasn't just me alone in my room, like making a beat on FL Studio and just kind of putting it out there and being like, "There's a cool song." It's like I really want to play around with synths. I'm gonna do it, and it's very hands on. Like the chords, everything is literally to the place that I want it, and I could make it. There's like certain times me and Connor spend on like a certain. I keep mentioning snares, but like that's huge. Like certain just being like this needs to be that, or like I want to make this kind of song, and we literally go back and listen to like. For in this context, like an old school kind of sound, and go back and listen to songs in those days, and literally be like, we can't use these sounds because they're too modern. Or this, we need something like this. And Connor is very
absolute like depth to it.
Yeah. Connor is like a nerd, so he's like he loves that. He's like, yo, I'm gonna this. It needs to be like this. This reverb. It's not 80s enough, or like what I mean, like that kind of stuff.
That.
So I just had the resources to be able to go in and do it because there's so much bigger ideas, and they landed. They seem to be good final products, and I'm really happy about them. So yeah. I guess that's.
I like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm like overselling this, but
no, I think
I'm super excited.
Maybe have you and Connor and Cal back when it comes out, and we'll go through it. But I guess on that or
on that note, I'm pretty happy. I'm satisfied.
I'm satisfied. I got my Adrian fix.
And, you've been listening to the Inner Workings with Ash,
J Cal,
and Adrian.
Thank you for
having me, guys. This was really cool. I watched all the episodes. Yeah. So it's just cool to be on this. I really like the one with Mali, and there's one with what's his name again?
With Ash.
I forgot. Was it Albie?
Yeah, Albie. Yeah.
Did we put that one out?
We did.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much. That was really cool.
Peace
out.